What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Talking Elite Fitness. I'm Sean Woodland with Lauren Khalil and Tommy Marquez. We are in the middle of it. Semifinals are underway. Had a great weekend of competition this past weekend. Lauren, you were there in person. I am envious of you because that looked like a fantastic environment.
Oh, CrossFit in Europe. I mean, I would just go spend a couple months out there because it is so electric with the signs and the flags and the drums. It was basically being at the Super Bowl is how it felt.
Wow. Well, it translated well on the screen because it seemed like the crowd was very enthusiastic. You can, anytime Victor Hoffer was out there, the place went nuts. It was a great environment. I hope, fingers crossed, we can get something like that this coming weekend. I know Torian is always great. That's going to be a fantastic event, and we're going to hear from Jeremy Austin in a little bit about the storylines that to watch at that semifinal. And then North America West is the one I'm just really looking forward to because it has been 8 years since we have seen action on that tennis stadium, and that is a venue. And there've been great venues in this sport, whether it's the Bayside at Wadapalooza, or any arena in Europe, or the Coliseum in Madison. The tennis stadium in Carson, I think, is by far the best one.
Yeah, I would say so. And that's part of like what you need for a sport to ultimately grow and create lore and history that's meaningful in a very big way so you can storytell long term. You look at most major sports, but I actually think the better analogy is either a pro soccer, professional football, internationally, and some of the stadiums and venues that you have, particularly in the English Premier League, as well as the La Liga in Spain. But also here in the States, I think of how the atmospheres are for collegiate sports, particularly in football and basketball, and how the environment around that starts to set the tone and create legendary moments that we can harken back on, whether it's the Big House in Michigan or the Shoe at Ohio State or Death Valley at both Clemson and LSU. And that's one of the reasons why I think, on top of it being an epic setting in a really cool location, that the tennis stadium is what it is. But you think back, you have these very real and clear and present memories that are attached to the tennis stadium. And not even that too. You look at the whole Dignity Health Sports Park and some of the iconic moments that happen on the soccer field as well that set up what happened in the tennis stadium too. And that's the stuff that makes the hairs on your forearm rise up. You get the Peter Parker spider tingle when stuff's going down.
Yeah. And Lauren is going to be there calling the action. And what you're going to love is where they're going to put you is sort of at the end of the competition floor. I think you're in the south end of it in an actual booth. And I can remember just being in there and then you get to open the windows. So it's like,
yeah, that's what Chase was telling me.
And you get hit with all this noise. And it's like, yeah, I have very vivid memories of just before events were starting, just sitting there, just looking, and I can still see the spider cam swooping overhead and the fans. I'm like, this is freaking awesome. So really looking forward to seeing that semifinal, and we're going to break that down here in a little bit. But before we get into any of this, I want to thank our sponsor for today, and that is Thirdy, the collagen-based drink powder that helps with joint and connective tissue repair. Look, high-quality rest is vital to your performance, and consistent workouts, just as consistent workouts and nutrition. I mean, you got to get the rest, and Thirdy makes that easy. It's been a godsend for me. Past couple nights, I've been battling some kind of flu bug. So last night I missed my Thirdy. I should have taken it, but I was in bed at 6:30 p.m. because I was like, I'm done. I can't. It was bad.
I think it was that gas station sushi you had.
I don't know what
days ago.
You did not.
No, I did not have gas station.
Sean's the last person. Sean's the most practical person I've ever met. He would not do that.
Yeah, that would seem so uncharacteristic of him. But I was about to exit you from this conversation if you did.
I was going to get a huge timeout, but the first night, I'm glad I took it because it was bad. There were noises coming out of me that I'd never really made. And not to get into it, but I was not feeling well. But the Thirdy is a huge part of my routine. It's a reason why I've said before I'm a regular at the 5 a.m. Haven't been this week because I've been sick at NC Fit. It's great tasting. It has fantastic ingredients in it like magnesium, L-theanine, GABA. Those help calm your central nervous system and support deep and REM sleep. I still don't get enough. I'm trying to get better sleep, get more sleep, but the sleep that I get because of Thirdy is high quality, and I wake up with a good training score, ready to rock, and feel good throughout the day. You can head to thirdy.com, or you can scan the QR code on your screen. Use our code TEF, and you're going to save 20%. Stuff is a godsend. I'm sure Lauren has already packed it for California. It's going to be the first thing.
Oh, the travel packs, they're in my purse, they're
Me
in my
too.
bag.
First thing that goes in my bag when I head to Knoxville. So
I have a
Don't leave
4
it
a.m. I have a 3:30 a.m. wake up call, 4 a.m. wheels on the road tomorrow morning for West Coast. So I have to pick up the Buttery Bros and
oh man, I hope the
potentially
camera's
Lauren
rolling
at the
for that.
airport if we're around. At 9:30 a.m. and it's a 5-hour drive from where I'm at to get there. So I've been preloading some Thirdy and a little extra. I'm normally like a half a scoop to 3/4 scoop guy.
Yeah.
I've been doing the full scoop the last couple days.
Give me the full plus a little bit of a mound on the top.
Oh, sometimes I double scoop.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Calm down.
Yeah.
Lauren, two
Thirdy.com.
scoops Khalil.
Yeah, TEF is the code. You'll save 20%. Are you? How many? Before we get into headlines, how many Marston falls asleep posts are going to be?
Anyone who has followed me on social media for some time knows that I used to have this recurring segment on my social media called Marston Falls Asleep. There's a hashtag. You can go look up the old photos. And it came to the point where I had people out in the woodworks just sniping photos of Marston sleeping in weird places. I'm hoping to revive that a little bit this weekend and hopefully get some good content to buffer my Instagram post for a while.
That is going to be fun. Glad those guys get to go down there because Marston, of course, had one of the most iconic moments ever for a non-athlete at Carson when he outran pretty much the whole field while carrying a camera.
Do you know if he warmed up before that? Because in my mind, I'm like, how did he not pull a hamstring?
I'm sure he was warmed up, but I think I don't think he did the whole track. Like I think he started at he ran one length, which
he ran,
but still at full sprint.
He ran the one length, and I think they did some primer testing on the shorter lengths in the previous heats to see how that shot would track. And then Marston unhooked the trailer and knees to chest, big boy, and took off. And I mean, he's pretty fast to begin with.
That guy's fit.
But yeah, about that moment, there's some there might be something cooking in the works with us and potentially the event on maybe some cool stuff about those moments. So it's not 100%. We're working on it, but it'd be fun. We're efforting.
I remember just one last Marston story when we all worked at CrossFit together. We were down. It was like the end of the day down in the gym. People were working out. There was 225 pounds on a barbell, and someone was people was like, what was going on? Marston came down cold, snatched it, cold. I was like, that's impressive.
Yeah.
So
he is like, and the Jets lost a step or two in his old age, but back in the day, he used to be like ridiculously like mobile and explosive. Like for someone that, I would have to remind him to eat throughout the day.
Yeah.
Cause I would come in to review video with him and it'd be like, have you eaten today? To be like, no. And then so we'd have to order a burrito and get him fed. But
there you go. Yeah. All right. Well, it'll be good to see those guys. Please tell them I said hello.
No doubt.
A couple headlines we want to get into. Just a couple quick headlines before we start diving into the semifinals that are going to be coming up this weekend. First is, and we mentioned this last week on one of our recap shows. I think it was the first one. Anyway, semifinals are on ESPN Plus. Other than that being it's a cool thing that is happening. They were buried a little bit the first night that I went and looked for them, just because last weekend was such a huge sports weekend. You had PGA Tour championship, NBA playoffs, a lot of stuff was going on.
NASCAR, everything was going on.
Everything was going on. But I think the cool thing about this is that it's a major network here in the United States that is willing to say, yeah, CrossFit, we like your content and we want to put it on our platform. Mm-hmm. And other than that, I think most people will watch it on YouTube, but if people happen to check it out while browsing through ESPN Plus, that's a positive. I just hope that ESPN decides to maybe not. I actually had to do a search on it. It didn't come up while I was scrolling.
And
hopefully that changes this weekend.
Yeah, hopefully that changed. It certainly didn't help that the reigning #1 golfer in the world got arrested on Friday, and
Yeah.
And then, everything on ESPN was all about that. So ESPN Plus videos and everything like that were tracking the news. So, but yeah.
But that's a good thing. Like we talk about exposure of the sport, getting out there in front of a bunch of people,
Mhm.
and now there's a network that is at least willing to put it on their platform. So we'll see what comes of it. I think it's a win.
Yeah, and even the major sports that are going on, like hockey and basketball, the scope has narrowed, right? Because now you're in the conference finals for both of them, so there's fewer games stacked on
Mhm.
top of each other. But
Yeah. Then the next thing we wanted to talk about, and this is, both of you have dug into this a little bit. I know Lauren, you were on site when it happened, and it's been a big topic of conversation right now. And that's what happened to Rebecka Vitesson on the rope climbs when she came off the rope. Looked like she hurt her knee, collapsed on the floor, and from the viewer's standpoint, it looked like it took an inordinate amount of time to get someone out there to help her. Because Mike Roth, the director, did the absolute right thing, immediately cut away from it. You don't want to show that anymore when there's an injury. You don't want to linger. But I think there were some shots that kind of showed it in the background.
mhm.
It didn't look like she was being attended to quickly enough.
Yeah, so I actually have had direct communication with the event and people involved, and there's been a ton of like rumors and things like that going around about what happened. Obviously, as you can imagine, the internet full of outrage and throwing all these wild accusations left and right. But I want to be very clear about like what the facts of the matter are regarding like medical assistance and what the setup for the event is and how it works, because it is very different there in France and with those venues than it is here in the United States. I think in the US we're very used to like CrossFit having the event CrossFit, if they're running the event, or the event in general, having their own medical team and running all those things, which are still true for the most part for many places. But I just wanted to, I got some clarification on it. So in France, when you organize an event, it is mandatory to go through a professional organization that is not attached to you to secure the event for medical purposes. So usually it is the Red Cross or the White Cross in France, and so the venue is actually in charge of making sure these organizations are present during the whole event. So it's on
Okay.
the venue to kind of secure the medical and organize the medical accordingly. So for the French Throwdown, the Red Cross was contracted to be there during the 3 days of events. They had two medical trucks. They had 25 operators. They had their own team leader and their own medic or doctor there on the case. So the medic and their team lead are in charge of coordinating the teams and making sure all the competition spaces are covered with the floor layout plan, as well as spectators too. So, and the medic is bilingual. So usually that's important so that they can speak English, native tongue, whatever. When Rebecka injured herself, the team lead or the medic, who's responsible for the first intervention, is up in the stands looking at the event, which is their standard procedure because they're also securing spectators as well.
Okay.
Saw
Can I
what
just
happened.
really, really fast just ask a question?
Yeah.
First of all, just a couple things. So we're clear. The venue, not the event organizers, but the venue brought in the medical staff.
Yes.
So it wasn't the people who organized the French Throwdown. The
Yes.
venue brought them in. And
Yeah.
then
That is what's required in basically the rule or law in
okay.
France.
And then that's a big difference what you just mentioned from what we're used to seeing in events in North America, is that usually the medical staff is right there on the floor.
Yeah.
That was not the case because they're not responsible for spectators.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes. So the medic up in the stands saw what happened, knew that she didn't fall from the rope, but when her feet touched the ground, obviously her knee gave in. Um, so he made an initial assessment on the floor and
You
went
have
to
to
check
get
the
down to
knee.
the floor first, right?
Yeah, he got down to the floor. There was a assistant head judge went to Rebecka right away, and then was quickly joined by the medic who was just wearing a sweater. Um, and then from there, the medic helps deploy the rest of the team, which is in full like what you would assume is like the medical gear, if you will.
Right.
But the medic has to make the initial assessment and get out there right away first. So she gets hit, and I believe if you were following like the timeline and the clock on the floor, within about a minute, the medic is down there, and the assistant head judge and someone from the event are down there with her. I think you can even see in the background, they're assessing the knee. They're like doing a little bit of like a knee wobble, which is like a knee stability test, which is pretty common when with knee injuries for ligaments. And then and so when he got there, he checked the knee. It felt like forever. I agree, but in reality, it was like about a minute for a non-fatal injury, I guess.
Or non-life-threatening injury.
Non-life-threatening injury is the way they put it. But um, once they check the knee, obviously Rebecka stands up and goes to do a full round of the echo bike and another rope climb. Seeing that they were able to, and this is from the team, from the medical team, seeing that she was able to do that and walk by herself, they decided to basically put the rest of the medical team, which was the ones in the full medical kit, on standby on the sidelines. And then when she went onto the box jumps is when they brought the whole crew out to intervene and get her out of the floor, get her off the floor. They did another assessment back. They took her into the medical room, where she was given the full assessment and taken care of, and then she was taken to the hospital by them to make a diagnosis and get further, I assume, further imaging. After that happened, Rebecka came back the next day in order to watch the rest of the competition. She also asked to see the doctor and the doctor/medic that treated her immediately on the floor or intervened to better understand a little bit more about what he saw and told her at the hospital, so she could have a second opinion and point of view as well. And then, as is, I guess, is the case with every event when it comes to situations like this at the venue, they have a meeting at the end to basically assess their response and treatment at every intervention and how they could have improved, which happened that day as well. So
do you
that's
know what came of that?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't. It's hard to say, right? Because it's the Red Cross, and they probably have their own set of protocols, I'm sure, and what they view as a reasonable assessment. This is where those are the facts, and anything beyond that is speculation.
Right.
You know, but basically, they had someone there. They had people attending to her with about a minute, and then the head medic was up in the stands, and the doctor responded, "This is all deployed by the venue, not CrossFit, not by the French Throwdown." And those are the protocols that they followed. So,
okay.
So, can I ask a question? What
Sure.
is then the point of having the Red Cross there if they like what are they there for?
to provide any needed medical assistance for fans and spectators, anyone in the venue.
Because my understanding is that, and I could be wrong about this, where I think because it seemed longer than a minute. Like when I was watching, I'm like, get someone out there. Like, what is going on? But I
Well, and
understand.
the MC had to, over the loudspeaker, ask for somebody, and all of the what I think was the American Red Cross, or not the American, the Red Cross folks who were in the red shirts, they were all just kind of standing there looking at each other, not what it looked like they didn't know what exactly to do,
So that's
just
where
from
I
my
think
observation.
there's a disconnect between what people are used to and what they understand and what the actual protocol is for the Red Cross. Because those people in the red shirts, like you would see on the broadcast, they're not the
Mhm.
team lead. That's part of the 25 personnel that assist and everything like that. But the medic or the doctor was not wearing that. Was in a sweater and was in something different and was the first to attend to her.
I
And
was
that
not on the
person,
floor.
it was. Or
No, he didn't start on the floor. He
he
had to
didn't
get
start
down
on
to
the floor.
Okay.
No.
So
Which is standard procedure across the board for any sporting event for them.
which is different than you would see at an event in North America, is that
Yes.
medical team is on the floor. They are right there. Even like the EMTs that I guess they have to have just in case someone needs to be taken. Like, and I don't know in the United States if that is responsibility of the venue to have them on hand or the event organizers. But every semifinal, every event I've ever been to, there's always EMTs, and they're on the
Yeah.
floor.
Yeah, there's usually someone with a red shirt standing in the corner somewhere around the floor. Yeah.
And so the process seems a little bit inverted as far as where people are located, because here in North America, or in the United States at least, medical team on the floor. If there's a problem in the stands, they go up in the stands. Whereas
Yes.
in Europe, it seems like they were up in the stands, had to make their way down to the floor. Is that accurate?
Yes. At least for the initial assessment, there were people there I guess nearby is
Mhm.
my what I've been told. But there's a protocol in terms of how they're deployed because the first attending person has to be, I believe, to be the medic or the doctor. So it's not like the EMTs and other people can be the first ones out there.
Okay, so maybe that's why
F
everyone was kind of looking at each other.
Yeah, from being there, it was just interesting to see the EMTs, the folks who took her off of the floor. They were the ones that, in my opinion, from what I saw, took the longest to get out there,
And that's
and
true.
d and y and it was just strange. I was wondering, where did they come from? Because after that heat, they stuck around pretty close. So, I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah. That seems, that all sounds reasonable, right? Like if you're sitting around, nothing really crazy has happened, um, and then something does happen, I don't know. It seems like, yeah, naturally your inclination is to maybe hang a little bit tighter than you did before,
Mhm. But I
right?
think most people will say, "Well, why didn't that happen in the first place?" And again, like, it's obviously this is a
Yeah,
procedural difference that led to this.
yeah. Take
Uh,
that up with the Red Cross. I don't
no,
know.
Yeah.
and nothing necessary, but I think that's what we, and I appreciate the clarification on that, because I think immediately a lot of people were like, "Come on, CrossFit, what are you doing?" And it's like, well, that's not their
Not
thing.
CrossFit's
They
thing.
didn't do it,
Mhm.
And then it
Yeah.
was like, well, what's the event doing? Well, it's not,
It's not
it's
the
not
event either.
them either. So it's good to know all this. Yeah, exactly. It's that just pointing at everybody. Um, but hopefully
Yeah.
we will not see this happen in any semifinals again, because we
For
don't want
sure.
to see anybody get hurt. But and Rebecca has had a history of knee injuries.
Two. She's had an ACL injury on both knees already from her gymnastics and basketball career. It might have been basketball, but she has had ACL injuries on both knees already. So this is not unfamiliar to her.
And Lauren, were you able to attend any of the athlete briefs?
No, I did not.
Okay, because I'm curious about how they briefed that descent. If you need a
Fro
visual.
what When I spoke to the athletes, I asked about that, and they
uh,
said there was no, you could
okay,
come down however you wanted.
yeah,
I mean, you saw Yellow Hosta, he nearly, like,
right, and that's
just
and
let go.
Chase,
But if there's no rule, I mean,
yeah,
he's a tall guy, why wouldn't you
you got to do it.
try to get a competitive advantage? Yeah, if you don't need
It's
to climb
interesting to
down.
me that that was the case, because when you saw like the box jump overs, they had
Mhm.
to mandated step down,
Yeah.
because they don't want them to go to a certain pace to where they feel like the only way they can compete is to rebound, and therefore put themselves at risk of injury. And I'm wondering now, if we take another look at the rope climb descent and just say, look, you got to get below a certain point before you can jump off.
Yeah. I think that context is important here, right?
Mhm.
Like doing the box jump overs, you're more often than not, you're having athletes turning as they're
Sure.
attempting to rebound, which adds a whole nother uh, layer of stress on the joints there. And rebounding box jumps have been something that has caused multiple Achilles injuries over the years. And I think,
Okay.
yeah, Jamie Hagia did it too. There's been multiple masters athletes. Yeah, it's that one. That one is a little more obvious, I think.
Yeah.
Obviously, coming down from the rope at a very high level, it poses some risk.
Right.
Um, so
Anyway,
yeah, but I don't know.
I thought it was just good to get clarification on this, because it's been a big topic
Mhm.
of conversation. And as a viewer, I certainly have like, get someone out. What is going on here? And it's good to
Yeah,
know that what
it
happened
felt
was,
like forever.
it did, right?
Yeah,
And Chase and Lauren and the crew, you guys did a great job of talking about this on Deathline. I encourage people to go and watch that if you haven't. But as Chase said, injuries are part of sports, man. Like, you can never make it 100% safe.
yeah,
If you're going to risk moving at a certain, if you're going to risk dropping from that high, there's there's a that is more dangerous than climbing down and then hopping off. Now there's freak things happen.
And interesting enough, I also think like the specificity of the event is very important here for context, right? If the medic saw what happened, understood the nature of the injury, right? Anyone that has had like an ACL or a knee injury that's not like the full blown knee blowout, it hurts really bad to start. It's like the first like 30 to 30 seconds are like, and then like 2 minutes later you can walk. You're like, oh, I'm actually okay.
When I tore mine, I was laughing, and then I started crying, and then I laughed again, and then I looked at my coach. It was in basketball. I was like, "Hey, can I go back in?" And he told me to sit my ass down.
Yeah, no, you're not going.
So it turned Lauren into the Joker, basically.
It's an origin story.
But like, and that's the nature of it. So who's to say? And this is like again speculating, but like if the medics saw it, it's like, oh, that's clearly a knee. It's non-life threatening. I can get down there and assess it. I get down there and assess it, and she's going to feel fine pretty soon. So we don't know if it's like fully bad. Has the people standing there, and then the minute she comes down from the box is like, nope, pull her off.
Yeah.
This is not an attempt to like justify it, condemn it either way. I'm just like, let's actually try and understand what's going on here and what like the parameters that were in place.
Exactly. No, that context matters.
Yeah.
Because I think for everyone, first finger they point is like, CrossFit, you mess that up.
And let's be fair, because of some of the issues in the past, there's a bigger spotlight on that stuff for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, thanks for the perspective on that. Appreciate you shedding some light on that. Okay, well, let's get into something a little more fun before we get into our semifinals previews. Dog of the week is Ophelia. We're pairing with Barbells For Bullies to try to help some dogs get some homes. You can go to barbellsforbullies.com or check them out on Instagram, Barbells For Bullies. Ophelia is our dog of the week. She's a 3-year-old female who is super sweet, learning commands and leash skills. She's dog friendly, medium energy, snuggly, loves kids, and she's house trained. She is currently in foster in New Jersey with @Jersey Pit Rescue. She was pulled from the streets of northern New Jersey, starving and freezing, and is not looking back. Good for you, Ophelia. If you guys are interested in adopting Ophelia, if you're local, you can contact @Jersey Pit Rescue or send a message to Barbells For Bullies. If you're not local and you still want to add Ophelia to your home, you can contact them, contact Barbells For Bullies. They have in the past arranged, out-of-state adoptions, but dog days of summer here. We're trying to get some dogs some homes. Check out Barbells For Bullies. They have, again, they do great work in helping dogs get them out of shelters, get them fostered, get them adopted. And we're just trying to help out with that. So Ophelia is our dog of the week. She's adorable. Here, let's shift through this, go through these pictures. Ophelia would do really well in any home, but she would really thrive with another dog as a companion. All right. She has been a lovely addition to the pack and will truly be missed once she finds her forever home. Some family's going to be very lucky to have this little loving wiggle butt. Oh, look at her there with her
That's awesome.
Her dog.
That's a great name. Ophelia is a great name.
It is a great name.
Perfect.
So, dog of the week, Barbells For Bullies is Ophelia. Guys, please just go check them out. Give them a follow, right? Just they're fantastic as Barbells For Bullies. I can't say enough good things about Alex and Lindsay. And go get Ophelia a forever home. All right, she's our dog of the week.